Hi, I'm Taylor and I work at the Career Development Center here as a communications assistant, and I'm here with Dominique Torres, president of Ieee, and we're going to talk a little bit about career fairs that are coming up and what you can do to get prepared.
Sounds good to me.
Alright, awesome. Well, it's nice to meet you and like sit down and actually talk to you. So why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I am an electrical engineering student and I am actually in the process of moving to Sioux Falls. I got a job as a controls engineer with a company that I actually met at one of the job fairs here at MSU called Interstate.
Interstate? Nice. Very good. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Ieee. What do you guys do exactly?
Yep, so Ieee is the Institute of Electronics and Electrical Engineers, and what it is it's a national organization that kind of gets everyone together that's an electrical or electronics engineer, and it has a lot of different things. So one of the main things it does is it has like fairs and leadership opportunities. So this last summer I went to New Orleans, Louisiana, and met with a bunch of recently graduated, still in their undergrad or in their graduate programs, students, and we just worked on our leadership skills and all of those things with some professional engineers. So basically, what our student branch does is try and bridge that gap between industry and what you're learning in school, and so that you kind of can see what's happening in industry, so you're not just focused on the theory, you kind of still know what's going on in the industry.
Cool. So it's kind of like a organization to get you from the student into the professional workforce.
Yep.
Very cool. So how did you end up getting involved in that?
So I got involved in Ieee when one of my friends just asked if I'd go to one of their meetings. It was a pizza event. We had an employer come in, and I was just really interested in it, and it happened to be that night was their election night, and they needed someone to fill a position, and they were like, hey, you seem like a cool person, like, you do it. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know your name, but sure.
Nice.
So I just got involved with that, and then ever since it's kind of been a snowball effect of I went from the undergraduate outreach person on the committee to being the vice president last year, to being the president last year, and then president again this year.
Very cool. It's kind of funny how you just kind of like got sucked into it.
Yep.
But good experience. So Ieee is sponsoring the engineering fair that's on Thursday.
Yep.
Do you have any idea of what kind of employees are going to be there, or what people should look for?
So last time that I checked, I believe we have a little over 60, so I think like 63 employers. And we have a lot of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, as well as construction management companies.
Well, are there any opportunities for, like, let's say college of business students or anything like that? Or
I'm assuming that most of these companies are going to have some college of business, like HR and sales, but I believe that that's not really what they're recruiting for. I think they're predominantly having their engineering managers come, so while they might be able to answer a few of your questions, I'm not thinking that an engineering manager is going to know what's going on in their sales team. So.
Yeah, awesome. Good to know. So what has been your experience at the career fairs in the past?
Yeah, so like I said, I got my current job at from a company that I learned about 2 years ago at this job fair. And I actually had my internship that I had last summer that I got from this job fair. And it's kind of crazy because you think, like, oh, I'm just, I'm a sophomore. No one really is going to talk to me. And then companies are interested in you. And a lot of the times, actually, both of my internships that I've gotten from here have been, I didn't fit what they were looking for the first year, but they called me back the second year. And they said, hey, we think you've grown a little bit. Let's see if you can fit in our company this year. And so it's kind of overwhelming when you walk in and there's 65 employers and hundreds of students, but then you kind of just get your way into a company and get to talk to the managers and get to know what they're doing on a more personal level, so it's not as big as some of the other career fairs that are going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good experience. So what was something that you did that you think really helped you get those internships in that job?
Yeah, so I think the best thing that I did was get the list of employers that were coming and pick out probably 10 of them that I was really interested in, do some basic research, and then out of those 10 I picked 5 that I was like, I want to work for these companies, and I did deeper research. I knew exactly what they were doing. I made a cheat sheet so that I could just look and say like, oh, Noltec does pneumatic conveying, and they are looking for this kind of engineer and this is where they're located, and Interstates is looking for these two different types of engineers and they're located here and here, and just kind of know the company so that when you have that opportunity to talk with them, you're not spending all your time trying to learn what their company does. You already know what they do. You're trying to figure out how can I sell myself to fit best into your company.
No, that's really good advice, actually, doing your research. So when you went to the career fairs, like, did you have your resume with you? Did you have an elevator pitch prepared? What did you have ready?
So I had my resumes printed on a little thicker paper than just standard paper. I also made some business cards that I stuck on each of them that just kind of stands out, something a little different than most students have. And I had my 30-second elevator pitch. I've done some research and they said that you typically have about 2 minutes to talk to an employer at a job fair. And so I didn't want to spend that whole 2 minutes selling, introducing myself, but also I didn't want to spend it just having them talk. So I made about a 30-second pitch that kind of put myself out there, and then they could start asking questions once they had gotten through my resume.
That's awesome. If you had one piece of advice that you would give to students, specifically, let's say engineering students, about how to prepare for the engineering fair, what would you say they should do?
Definitely do your research. Know who you want to talk to. Don't just walk up to a random employer and be like, hey, I have no clue what you do, and here's my resume. That's not a bad thing to do if you don't know about them, but it looks really good if you know exactly what they do, and it shows that you took the time out of your day to figure out what they do.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's all I have for questions. It was
Sounds
nice
good.
talking to you.
It was nice talking
Nice to meet you. Be sure to check out the career fairs this week.
Hope to see you there.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in.